Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great start to your morning, and we're glad you're here for this wake-up call this morning. And this morning it's my privilege to introduce my good friend. And Chris has one of the biggest hearts I know, and I've just, we've been in business and friends for, like almost 15 years now, and just have the utmost respect from him, and he came from, retail marketing and built a hugely successful business, and him and his wife do youth ministry now, and they just have a heart and a passion to help people and love on people. And so it's my privilege to introduce Chris Smith from Oklahoma.
Well, thank you very much, Patty. I am very excited to be here today, and I love this book that we're reading through. It's, Little Things Matter by W. Todd Smith, and, it's just a pleasure doing it. So today we're going to be talking about building your own brand. So here the book goes. It says, what does Coca-Cola, Geico, and Nike have in common? They each have a well-developed and recognizable identity, or, as they say in the marketing world, a brand. Marketing and experts maintain that a company's brand should deliver a clear message. It should confirm credibility. It should motivate a buyer to connect and stimulate loyalty to repurchase. Just as companies carry a brand, people also carry a brand. Branding is how the world sees you, the impressions you make, the values you stand for, and the qualities that mold your personality. All the little things you do and say combine to form a foundation upon which relationships are built and maintained. So I just want to stop here for a second and tell you that paragraph made the big difference to me in this chapter. We don't think about ourself as branding ourself or whatever. So I want to just read this little paragraph again because it did have a big impact to help me understand this. It says, just as companies carry a brand, people also carry a brand. Branding is how the world sees you, the impressions you make, the values you stand for, and the qualities that mold your personality. All the little things you do and say combine to form the foundation upon which relationships are built and maintained. And then the book goes on. Chelsea Greenwood, owner of the $1.4 billion marketing firm, said, "You are your own brand whether you like it or not. And every experience has a lasting impression." And I would add, whether you like it or not. And so what they do is they list some qualities and actions that create brands. So how important is the brand we communicate? And then here's the list. It says, do you notice people who show evidence of a negative attitude? Do you notice people who dress inappropriately? Do you notice people who don't seem to listen, who interrupt when you're talking, who talk too much, and I fall victim to some of these things, or use offensive language? Do you notice people in restaurants or in line or at grocery stores who talk loudly on their cell phones? Do you notice people in meetings who keep scanning their phone for messages instead of being attentive? Whether you realize it or not, you form an opinion about people every day. The things they do, the way they look, the words they speak are branding themselves in your mind. Which coworkers stand out as someone you'd rather not work beside? If you were to describe his or her brand, what would it be? Think of some of your neighbors. Which one is your least favorite and why? So again, you can kind of see all these things, these attributes, these actions, these words that people choose to use, they're all building their brand. So then it goes on to a list of things that you can focus on to brand yourself. So it says, now let's move closer to home. How do you think you have branded yourself? What kind of impressions are you making? If your coworkers were to sit in a conference room and describe you, what words would they use? If your friends were to chat about your characteristics, what traits or habits would they list? If your business acquaintances were to portray you, what picture would they paint? And this one hit home to me. If your children were to tell their friends about you, what would they say? If your spouses were to tell all, what characteristics would he or she share? At your funeral, as people reflect on who you have been and the experiences they've had with you, what will be their dominating thoughts? And I like that, dominating thoughts instead of their dominating words, because we all know sometimes the words spoken at funerals aren't people's predominant thoughts, unfortunately. But it says not necessarily what would they say about you. It's saying what would their dominant thoughts be. And then when you listen to your eulogy, what would you like to hear them say? And it says, Tony Jerry, popular author and communication coach and seminar speaker, warns us about our brand. He says, every day, in dozens of ways, we're sending a message out to the world. The wrong message will cost you respect, career, promotions, or perhaps relationships. And the right message will enable you to achieve your personal and professional best. Brands have power. Who you are reflected through your brand will affect many people and many things, such as your influence with others as a leader, the level of pay increase you receive, whether you are selected for the next promotion, whether you are selected to be laid off or retained, how respectful people will be to your ideas. How receptive people will be to your ideas, the types of friends you attract, how well you are accepted, liked, or disliked, whether you will be asked out on a second date, what people think about you or will say about you, whether you are included or excluded from events, the relationships you have with your spouse and friends, the image in the eyes of your children or neighbors, whether people want to do business with you, and the level of respect people will have for you. It says, build a brand that consistently makes positive impressions and commands respect. As you adopt the little things that matter way of thinking and improve your brand, the benefits will be noticeable. Your value increased, your relationships improved, and your sphere of influence is broadened. You will feel better about the person you're becoming as your self-confidence grows and you feel like you can conquer anything. And before I turn it over to Patty to kind of give some of her personal thoughts, and then I come back to do the little things that matter challenge, I will tell you as I was reading this, it did change my attitude about our personal brand, or if you will, kind of more in layman's terms, what others think about us. I know a lot of times I personally am like, I don't care what others think about me. That's their problem. I'm going to be me. And, there's nothing wrong with that to a certain extent, but it depends on what you want to achieve. Because like the book just taught us, brands do have power. They do have influence about how people think about you, or even, are receptive to your ideas or want to spend time with you. I know a lot of times it's hard to take personal responsibility. We're like, I don't know if you've been guilty of it, but we're like, they just don't like me. Well, the question is, why not? What is it that you're putting out that is offensive to them? What is it that you're doing, or what actions you have, or what parts of your personality or the way you act around or towards others that makes them not want to be around you? So I did take a lot of reflection through this paragraph and really enjoyed it a lot. And with that being said, I'll turn it over to you, Patty, and see what you had to think about it.
Well, I just think we're all on this call because most people are, business people, or, just wanting some to enlighten their life somehow. And brand does make all the difference in it. I think right now, like social media, people use social media, and if you're not, it's a big way, especially if you're in your business, because there's, nearly 3 billion people on it, and so you have a lot of access to a lot of people. But I've had to, talk to my, teenage granddaughters, a lot about what you put on there can stay there forever. This is how you want to be portrayed, and it can affect you, and not that they've done anything really bad, but, just that I try to get the point across, like nowadays you apply for a job, a lot of times they research you and look what you've done, and depending what they find on there, if they see you partying all the time and all this, saying negative things, profanity. I mean, it can be their first impression, what they see there. And you've got to think, a lot of times you only have one chance with first impressions with people on what you do, kind of what it's saying here. So I think you've just got to be really careful and about what you do. And one of the things, is like I do quite often when I'm trying to figure something out, like if you're in business and you want to attract people, write down a list, of what would attract you to somebody, and the kind of people that you want to bring towards you. And it might help you, reflect on how you're going to present yourself to people and be able to, and maybe there are some things to change, but that's why we plug into calls. This is why we do personal development, so that we can give the right brand and approach to ourselves. So that's kind of what I have. Chris, I'll throw it back to you to close it out.
Yeah, no, that was very good. And, it was close to something else that kind of popped into my head. And as you started saying it, I'm like, gosh, she's covering that. But I was thinking, like, when you introduced me on the call today, you were in a very honoring way complimented me and said wonderful things about me. And one of the things that I believe you said, and I hope I'm not wrong on this, but I think you said I had a giant heart, right? And, that is exactly what we're talking about today. I don't know if I could pinpoint exactly right now in a split second for you what I've done in our relationship over 15 years that created that brand. But see, what Patty was sharing is her impression of my brand, judged and based over years of, working with me and being around me and stuff. So as I was sitting here kind of thinking, as Patty was talking, listening to, by the way, but I'm like, man, what are our biggest attributes that we think about ourselves? What if we were to describe ourselves? What are those things that would make us smile or make us proud to share with others? Like, like I'm a believer, I'm a business leader, I'm a giver, I'm a loving person, whatever those attributes are that you are proud of, that you think highly of yourself about, or those are the things that the little things that we do can create those brands and reinforce what we believe about ourselves. So if you believe you're a caring person, ask yourself the question, what is it that I'm doing that would give people the impression that I'm a caring person? And then ask yourself the tough question, what are the things I'm doing that would make people believe that I'm not a caring person? And, build on the list of good things, eliminate the list of bad. Just like yesterday's lessons, the Holly and them talked about, it was talking about, the little things matter, or the things that are easy to do or easy not to do. And I would apply that same principle to it as well. So the little things that matters challenge, take some time and think about how you want to be viewed by others. Consider making a list of what the brand's defining characteristics will be. And when you are clear on your brand and want to build for yourself, start paying close attention to the little things you do and say. Whether you are greeting a clerk at a convenience store or attending an important business meeting, start presenting yourself to the world in a way that's consistent with the brand you want to create for yourself. And then it says, the brand you create for yourself is how you will be viewed, treated, and remembered. So with that being said, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining us. Again, we do this call every single day, Monday through Friday, same time, and we look forward to seeing you on it again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.